Did you know that baby boomers hold 52.8% of all the wealth in USA, according to the Federal Reserve? However, most of it's tied up in equity. Stick around for the next few minutes, though, to learn how you can help your clients in or near retirement tap into this equity without requiring them to make a mortgage payment. And also, we'll show you how you can create more business for you and your company. One more side note, if you're not at least somewhat focused on the retirement industry, you are missing out on the largest demographic of people that for many years to come will need in-home care services and advice. Hi, my name is Bruce Simmons, and we're lucky enough today to be joined by Lorraine Ji. Lorraine is an experienced learning and development professional coach and mentor, and also is a 20-year mortgage veteran who's trained and presented to thousands of professionals around the country. She's generously agreed to share her time today to discuss why it's so important that professionals in the home care industry understand the importance of working with older homeowners. Lorraine, can you give us a quick synopsis about your background for us?
Sure, Bruce. Thank you so much for having me on today. And as you mentioned, I have been in the mortgage industry for 20 years. I was a loan officer focusing on helping older adult homeowners in or near retirement utilize home equity to enhance their financial situation. And then went into the education business and wound up educating and training loan officers, also home care professionals, real estate folks, some financial advisors, and other referral partners so they can help their older adult clients. So pretty passionate about the industry. Appreciate being here.
That's fantastic. We're so glad to have you. Now, I, why do you think it's so important for in-home care professionals to understand for their older homeowners how they can help them out with a reverse mortgage?
It's a great question to ask because when you're talking about in-home care, often you're talking about companies that provide assisted daily living services to clients, not necessarily healthcare related, right? So the more people that are entering into the demographic that are going to need this care, the more people that are going to have to find ways on how to pay for it. And often these services can be quite expensive, right? And there's a lot of different companies around the country that provide these services to older adult homeowners. And a lot of the conferences that I've gone to in the past, we found that a lot of these companies are having difficulty having their clients pay for the services. How do we give them or get resources for them to afford to be able to get the help they so desperately need? And a lot of times home equity is the answer. And they don't even realize that people can utilize their home equity without causing a monthly bill and
Mhm.
really to make them uncomfortable financially, and they can enjoy those services that they need so much.
Exactly. They're sitting on all that money right now that could be used for them to be able to just stay in their home, and they
Yep.
don't even know it because so many people are of the mindset that reverse mortgages are for desperate people or that the bank's going to take their home. There's all kinds of misconceptions about them. And also too, Lorraine, can you talk on the size of the market a little bit? Why it's so important that we educate people about this program because there's a big market out there for these in-home care providers, and a lot of people are sitting on a lot of equity that they could tap into.
Yeah, so as you mentioned before, the baby boomer generation and the generation coming behind it, which is our generation, right? Holding a lot of that equity wealth. And in 2035, the number of older adults will exceed the number of children for the first time in our existence as human beings, right?
Wow.
And in 2060, there's going to be over 92 million people that are over the age of 62. So this huge demographic shift is going to affect so many different industries, healthcare, housing, financial, and the home care business is going to skyrocket for the needs that are out there for people to have these services that they provide, which is such a great resource. But again, having the affordability to be able to pay for that can sometimes be challenging.
Yeah. And also too, the one of the biggest benefits for in-home care providers is one of their biggest challenges, I should say, is that they try to keep good caregivers.
Yeah.
And to keep good caregivers is a challenge because when you've got people coming and going, or they think that, hey, I have VA services, or I have a long-term care plan, but it only pays for a few hours a day, or 2 days a week, or a certain amount of dollars every week or month, then that's all they think they could afford. Well, if your client could afford to pay more on top of it, so it's stacking that service, whether it's long-term care or VA benefits, whatever it may be, with a reverse mortgage, then they could be able to keep that same caregiver who is very valued by the home, by the company, in one home, instead of driving out 2 hours here and then drive across town for an hour there and then drive across town for 3 hours somewhere else. Keep them all in one place at one time. It's can really benefit the company.
Yeah. And a lot of these Medicare and Medicaid rules vary state to state when it
Mhm.
comes to providing services that are outside of the healthcare arena. So it's important that a lot of these companies recognize what some of the rules are in their state and what is covered by some of these insurance programs and what would have to be out of pocket for their client.
Good point. And just to I want to circle back to that point I brought about earlier about the education piece, and how there's so many misconceptions. And can you touch on some of those misconceptions, and I guess why are they out there still, after I've been battling this for over 20 years, as you have, to try to
Yeah.
educate people? And can you touch on that for us?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you. The program's been around since 1961. It's been overseen by the federal government since the late 80s. And for the last 36 years, the same misconceptions are out there. So, what are we all doing wrong?
I don't
Pe-
know.
People think that they give up the ownership to their property if they do a reverse mortgage. They also feel that they're going to provide their heirs with debt if they pass away before the house is sold and so on. They also feel that they won't qualify if they have a low credit score, or only desperate people get reverse
Hmm.
mortgages.
That one's
And
a killer.
yeah, right. Nothing could be farther from the truth. But of course, it's up to people like yourself and me and other folks in the industry and marketing to really explain that, the right things about the program. It really is an opportunity to utilize some of the equity, turn it into liquidity to be able to use it for other resources. And you don't have to pay it back until the home is sold or the borrower passes. And often people don't even realize that it's so similar in a way to a home equity loan,
Hmm.
which everybody seems to be getting, right? When they're
Yeah.
able to. It's just really providing people with resources so they don't have to incur a monthly payment at a time that their income is normally reduced.
Yeah, and so many people still also think that the bank is going to take the home when they pass away. And
Correct.
now odds are there's going to be equity left in the home. But if there's not, there's protections for the estate, because it's 100% non-recourse loan too.
Right.
And a lot of people say, well, we should just get a home equity line of credit. A HELOC is what they call it. But I did a loan for a lady. She's here in Denver, and her aunt, who has no children, she's the main person who helps her aunt in Arizona. We did a loan for this lady, and the niece in Denver, got a home equity line of credit because she didn't think the aunt was going to live very long. And then the rate started going up, and she was paying all these in-home care expenses for the aunt. She ended up in a couple of years of over $100,000 in debt, and then the rate started going up. This
Mhm.
person who lives in Denver, the niece, could not afford that payment anymore. She finally reached out to me, and we were able to do a reverse mortgage for her aunt in Arizona, pay off her existing HELOC, the niece here in Colorado, and provide some repair needs that the aunt needed on her home to fix up the bathroom, so
Yeah.
it's not dangerous for her. Also, and a monthly stipend every month to pay for her in-home care. It was a fantastic scenario all the way around. The niece has a lot more stress, a lot less stress, I mean, to
Yes.
be a lot less financial stress, and she knows her aunt's going to get this money deposited in the bank account every month. It's a win-win
That's a
situation.
great example, Bruce, because you just brought up another point. When we're talking about in-home care, Often the clients have family members, such in your case, where the niece is the caregiver, or not just, financially helping, but also their time and really
Mhm.
providing some of the resources that the older adult needs for their everyday living. So because they maybe can't afford to be able to pay for some of the great services like visiting angels and
Mhm.
so many of those types of companies out there, that's what they do. So it's not just respite for the client, but it's also help for their family members and caregivers as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic program. Well, thank you so much for shedding some light on this. Hopefully people will see this, and I also want to let you know, please visit my website, give me a call. I'd love to answer any questions you have. If you run a in-home care agency, I'll come out and talk to you and train you how
Mhm.
to approach this subject with your clients. And this can benefit them tremendously because they can keep your services. That's what they really want. And this is a vehicle for that purpose. So thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Lorraine, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bruce.